Okay. What do we got? Whew. I just got back from a 3-day, 3-night trek in South Dakota on the Centennial Trail. For those of you who don't know what the Centennial Trail is, it is a 123-mile trail that goes through Wind Cave National Park, Custer State Park, Mount Rushmore, all that kind of stuff in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I haven't unpacked yet. Let's talk about what worked and what didn't work as I unpack this mess of a backpack. What is happening, friends? Thank you for tuning back in to the channel. If you're into backpacking, if you're into bike packing, outdoor gear, that kind of stuff, go ahead and hit subscribe right down there somewhere. That way you don't miss any of the videos that drop. It's about an 8-hour drive out to South Dakota, another 8 hours back. I got back last night, and I figured I would go through this bag piece by piece, and we'll break down the gear items that worked for me, and worse yet, the gear items that didn't work for me. So let's just dive right in. Here's the backpack. We're going to talk about this in a second. And I have not unpacked this pack at all. All right, I'm going to go through the things that I was wearing on my body first, and we'll talk about that. Watch. This is just a Timex Expedition watch. They're cheap, about 30 bucks. I didn't bring my Apple Watch because that's just one thing I didn't want to charge that whole time, but it's a simple watch. Got a NATO band on it. It works. On my feet, these are my Ultra Lone Peak 5s. These have been a good shoe and a bad shoe. I love the weight. It's really light. I love the fact that it drains, especially when you're walking through streams and things like that. It's got really good grip. It locks down really well. However, the cushioning packs down. It packs out too soon. So pretty soon you're not having, there's no bounce. There's no cushion. So my feet were killing me by the end of day 1, and then day 2 and day 3, my feet were a wreck. So these, I don't think these are the shoes for me. Ultra Lone Peaks, love the concept, but I think for a bigger boy like myself, I don't think this is the choice. Do have some other shoes on order. We'll go over that in another video, but let's continue on up. Socks, these are just darn tough socks, wool, perfect combination for hiking, especially if you're walking through streams. These dry out and still keep your feet warm. Darn tough. There's nothing bad to say about darn toughs. Underwear, yeah, these are just Sacs underwear. Synthetic, antimicrobial. These were fine. No chafing, no issues like that. But if you're looking for underwear that separates your boys from your, that separates your Frank from your beans, these are pretty decent underwear. These in ex officio, great boxers to have, but these performed very well. Shorts, these are just running shorts. I think I bought these at Target, and these have been great. These are probably 3 years old, but I did rip a hole in the crotchal taint area, so I could sew these up, but these are on their last legs anyway. So just a cheap pair of running shorts, and they work fine from Walmart or Target. They work fine. Shirts, these are brand new. It's made by Smart Wool, so this is a merino wool and polyester blend shirt. Doesn't stink, even though I wore this and I sweated in it and there was salt and all kinds of stuff on it. I haven't washed it yet, and it doesn't smell like I'm gonna puke or anything. But this is a brand new 120 weight. The normal weight Smart Wool shirts that I wear, they're 150, so they're a little heavier. And they're still fine for warm weather trips, but these are much lighter, and these worked out really well. Before I get started in unpacking this thing, I have a scale. I want to weigh this pack now because there are things in it that I didn't. There are things in it that. There are less things in it now than when I started, because, like food, I ate a lot of food. When I left, my pack was 26 pounds all in. Water, food, the whole 9. And this, I'm going to go ahead and weigh. What was that? Let's see if we can get this thing on camera. Okay. 22.1 pounds, if you are curious. 22.1 pounds as it sits here on the table. Right up front, where the water bottle pockets are. Smart liter water bottles. I have some drink mix in this one, and I have water in this one. These were filtered directly from Sheridan Lake, which is where our last night was. Nothing else in those pockets. And on the shoulder strap as well is a Garmin Inreach Mini. This was awesome. This was my very first trip with this. This is a very, very valuable tool. People at home could track me. I was able to message directly with Midwest Backpacker because there wasn't signal in a lot of spots of the trail, and this allowed us to keep a communication. Because if you don't know, Jeremy hikes faster than I do, and sometimes we'll get a couple hours apart, and we need to message each other during the day as things change, as things progress. So Garmin Inreach Mini, very, very well worth the investment. I got this as a birthday present. I have awesome friends that think I'm irresponsible, so they buy things so I can be more responsible. I'm trying. We'll spin this around to the actual water bottle pockets. Another water bottle. This is a smaller one. This is a 20 ouncer. Again, this is still water from Sheridan Lake. I carry 3 water bottles on this trip. I did not need to do that. I would have been fine with just the 2. There was plenty of water. There are a couple of spots with longer water carries, but I didn't find it an issue to be short on water. I brought camp shoes. These are the Zero sandals. They're kind of like Chacos or Tevas, but they're super thin. They weigh less than a pound for the pair. I did use them for a water crossing. I did use them as camp shoes, but at the end of it, I really didn't need these. I would have been 100% okay without them. I did take them off for a couple of stream crossings, but then I came upon some more stream crossings. I had to get my feet wet anyway. And then it rained, so my feet were wet anyway. So these were kind of cool, the concept, but I did not need these camp shoes or any camp shoes for this trip. Let's keep spinning around here. Trekking poles. These are the Cascade Mountain Techs carbon trekking poles. I did find that these came in handy because there were some sections with some decent hills, some sections where you need to maintain some balance. And these are very, very affordable carbon fiber trekking poles. I am glad that I brought these. The other water bottle pocket was my cook kit. Yes, I used my cook kit. I'm glad I had it. I used it. I did bring an extra bottle of fuel that I didn't touch. So I did not need 2 bottles of fuel. I barely even used this. And the reason for that is because we actually stopped at a couple places and had meals. And I didn't need to cook a lot. So I carried way more fuel than I needed for this whole trip. That's because plans changed. Now, if they were plans originally like we had, would I have used all of this fuel? Probably not. So I carried too much fuel. Right on top of the pack, this is my Helinox Chair Zero. It's all wrapped up. It's got a chair pad here. I am glad I brought my chair. There are times where we had lunch and we were at camp and I just wanted a place to sit down and lean back against, especially after some longer mile days. We did 3 16-mile days. For some of you, that's a lot. For some of you, that is not a lot. For me, that was a lot. I was very glad to have a chair. So I'm glad I brought the Helinox Chair Zero. All right, let's look at the junk drawer. This is the big meshy pocket. The junk drawer is because you just stuff everything in it. First aid kit. You always have to have the first aid kit. I did end up using this. I had to get some tear tape to Chuck because he popped a hole in his mattress. I needed some ibuprofen out of here. I needed my little knife because I did have a blister that I ended up popping. It wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't, affect my trip at all. But it was good to have my first aid kit. I did use it. Rain jacket, quick access as well. This is the Enlightened Equipment Visp rain jacket, V-I-S-P. It did rain. It worked really, really well. So a rain jacket was needed on this trip. It actually rained like the last 2 days of the whole trip. This is my rain fly for my hammock, and the reason why it was wrapped up in my rain jacket and outside here is because we did have, like I said, 2 days of rain. So my rain fly was wet. I did not want my rain fly to be packed inside of my dry thing. So rain fly for my hammock, and this is a UGQ Hanger 12 rain fly. Poop kit, yes, I used it. I really, really used the wet wipes. There was a couple of times there where I needed to be a little cleaner than normal. Another item from Enlightened Equipment, this is their Copperfield wind pants. Super light, block the wind, they kept me warm. These were my only pants on trail, and they pack up to that big. I wore these in the rain, I wore them at camp, I wore them in the morning. These were awesome. I am very glad I had these. They're a little pricey for what they are, but I did use them, and I was glad I had these wind pants. Water filter. This is spraying a leak. I don't know how to patch this kind of material, but the Be Free, it worked fine. It worked like it as it should. This is a knee brace. I was having some knee problems from a bike ride I did. I did a 50-mile bike ride like the weekend before, and I got some really bad knee pain. So I didn't know if that was going to carry over into hiking. It turned out it did not, so I did not need this knee brace. Stakes. These are the stakes for my rainfly. So they actually should be with my rainfly. All right, that's it for the outside of the pack. That's all I got. Let's dive in. Oh, the pack in general. This is the Waymark Through 40 liter. It's a frameless pack made out of an X-Pack material. This thing carried extremely well. It wasn't overly heavy. Like I said, it was about 25, almost 26 pounds, which is about max is what you want for a pack like this. Because there's no hip belt, so all the weight was on my shoulders, and it was fine. I did not have an issue with it at all. Right on top, this is an Appalachian Gear Alpaca wool hoodie. I will be talking a little bit more about this later. This is a really nice layer. I thought it was a little too warm for this particular trip, but there were a couple of mornings, a couple of evenings that I did wear it, but I think I could have gotten away with a lighter layer. So the Alpaca wool hoodie, good piece, but I did not need it for this trip. I wish I had something lighter. My Diddy bag is right inside as well. I'm gonna go through the contents of this really quickly. 20,000 amp battery pack. This charged my Garmin, this charged my phone, and there's still plenty of charge left on it. I did top it off once at one of the diners, one of the lodges that we ate at, so that was fine. With the cables, my headlamp, obviously I only use a few times at camp, no really night hiking or anything. A little saw, I did have to trim some branches to hang my hammock. My emergency chapstick. The wall charger for the battery pack. I was glad I had this because I was able to put a really good charge on this as we ate breakfast the one morning. And then the rest is just standard stuff, extra bottle cap, thermometer by ThermoWorks, Diddy Bag stuff. I use just about everything in here except for earplugs and my Sharpie magic marker. Food bag. This is a custom printed Hilltops food bag, and I brought too much food, way too much food. Here's one breakfast, two breakfasts, coffee, extra Ziploc bags, jerky, I ate that, let's throw that away. More jerky, didn't eat that. So here's one dinner, here's two dinners. And then of course, desserts like candy bars, Lara bars, fruit snacks, more Lara bars, my plasticware for eating, toothbrush, more snacks, more bars, toothpaste, the hanging kit to hang the food. Here was my drink additive. It was just Tang. A little bit of sodium, a little bit of flavor, you know, for a little bit of variety. More fruit snacks, and then I brought some monkey butt powder. When you're out hiking, sometimes it could get a little sweaty back there. This is just nice to help dry things out. I used it once. It worked really, really well. It did not turn into a paste or paper mache or anything like that. It worked really well. It kept it dry down into the sensitive region. So just a little thing of monkey butt. I may end up packing this from here on out. No problems with chafing. That's not what it was for. It was for moisture management. And then the rest in here. Oh, here's another breakfast. So 3 breakfasts, 2 lunches that I never got to, and a ton of snacks. Brought way too much food. And then we're gonna go in here a little more. This is my hammock system. This is a Superior Gear hammock made by Superior Gear, the Superior hammock. So inside this is a 45-degree hammock. The underquilt is sewn and built in. It's got a little pocket on the outside where you store the actual suspension straps. But then it compresses in here, stores in here, and it works well. And this storage sack also serves as a ridgeline organizer in your hammock, so you can put things like your phone, you know, any supplies you might need for the night, extra layers in here, and that stays hung there in your hammock. Enlightened equipment, Torrid Apex jacket. This is a synthetic puffy jacket. I did wear this a few nights. It did not get that cold, but this was my go-to layer for warmth, not the wool layer, because that was just like too warm. But a light puffy, you know, it still got down to the 40s at night. This was nice to have. I actually slept in this as well. I had to take it off during the last night though. And then my Hammock Gear Economy Burrow top quilt. It's a 40-degree top quilt. It's got duck down on it. This worked fine. This kept me completely warm enough. And the last few things that I threw in the bottom of this pack: my stocking cap made by turtle fur. Need that to keep the bald head warm at night. And then extra clothes and a few notes on extra clothes. Let's get rid of this pack. I did have a pack liner. This is a Nylaflume pack liner, super light. So when it did call for rain, I packed all my sensitive things that I needed to keep dry in this, rolled it down, put everything else on top, and it worked fine. I did bring 2 pair of hiking socks. Now these sufficed as 1 day at camp, 1 day to sleep in, but they both got wet. They both didn't dry out completely, but enough to hike. It was fine. But I ended up sleeping barefoot because it was warm enough to do that. So I'm glad I brought 2 pair of socks, but I do wish I would have brought a dedicated pair of sleep socks. There's just something comfortable about having a 100% dry layer on your feet. Not necessary, but it would have been nice. Just a light pair of sleep socks only. So 2 pair of socks. I brought a 2nd pair of underwear, the same one, Saks. I did end up changing into the new pair. I didn't have to. It wasn't gross, it wasn't wet, it wasn't disgusting. Since I had them, I may as well have just used them. But going forward, I do not need a 2nd pair of underwear. I don't. Brought a bug net. Did not need this bug net. There were 0 bugs out there. We saw a lot of bison and deer and antelope and all that kind of stuff. No bugs. Did not need the bug net. I brought a 2nd shirt, the same Smart Wool 120 weight shirt. This is in a gold color. I wore this for 2 days and this thing got salty and gross and sweaty, and it rained on me, so it got wet. And before I put my rain jacket on, and this has been stuck in the bottom of my bag for 2 days, or for a day and a half. And it doesn't smell. It's got a little bit of smell to it, but it's not disgusting. So these Smart Wool shirts, they work really well. And the very last thing are gaiters for my shoes. Since the environment we were walking in was dusty and sandy and rocky, I chose to bring the gaiters to keep all that stuff out of my shoe. I used them on day 1, did not use them on day 2 or day 3. I did not need these. They're nice. The concept was nice, but it turned out I didn't need these at all. This is the loadout. There was a lot of stuff, and for being at like 25.5 pounds in all, that's pretty good. Do you have any questions about these gear items that I used? I will be talking more about this Appalachian Gear Company coming up, but everything worked fairly well. Did not need the camp shoes, did not need all this food, glad I had the chair, you know. Leave any questions you have for me down in the comment area below about this gear item, about these gear items, about the pack, about the trip, any of that kind of stuff. I'm happy to answer any of it. But if you haven't already, get your loadouts together, get those trips planned, because if you have a trip planned and on the calendar, it gives you something to look forward to while you're grinding away in your normal everyday life. I appreciate you stopping by. Thanks for watching me go through my stuff, and now I gotta like wash and put all this crap away. But get out on trail. There's a big, beautiful world out there. Get out and see as much of it as you can. We'll see you on the next one. A lot of stuff. Now I gotta put it all away.